responses to?
It doesn't make us less competitive. You look at the tax rates, and we can give them to you from across the country, in the region.
It can't go anywhere else, by the way.
I mean, right, the stuff is under Ohio, right? Secondly is that this gas, it's a wet gas, and which is more valuable than dry gases or other gases. So one of the arguments is that, you know, with the price of natural gas being so low or getting lower, that, you know, if we've got a higher tax rate, then companies may not want to operate here. Well, that's not the case. In fact, we just saw that, I don't have it in front of me, but there was one of the big companies is looking to pull out of or do less work in the West and Oklahoma and Texas, and is looking at Ohio because we've got a more valuable source of gas, this wet gas that's underneath the ground here. So I think that, you know, look, we've proposed a 7% rate. You know, there's other states that have higher rates, some states have lower rates. We think it's somewhere in the middle. We're willing to negotiate on what the rate is going to be. But we need the current, we know this, that the current rate is just preposterously low. You know, for as big an industry as this portends to be, to have a rate as small as it is, it makes absolutely no sense. And we need to raise that rate.
You said raise $500 million once fully operational.
If you have to, that's roughly about
a year. Do you know if they left the rate alone, what it would raise?
I do. Yeah. So Kevin gave my legislative aide this to me. You know, I'm without, I'd have to go back, maybe 15 million? 40, 50 million?
3, is that what we had?
How much? 2010.
In 2010 it was 2.6, I think, if you go back.
2.6 million?
Is it just
We'll get that for you. I'll find it for you. But it's a really small amount. So it's like, if you extrapolated what we're doing now and what we could do in the future, I think you're looking at 40, 50 million. I'm guessing.
So even if it was 50%, it would go from 50 million to 500 million. With your change, that's what you're
yes.
saying. A tenfold,
yeah, and
10 times as much, something like that.
Right.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Okay.
And don't forget, you guys, what we get.
You shouldn't ask me math questions.
I'm coming in after that comment. Don't forget that we only collected, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources collected $1 million last year in injection well fees. But we've increased, now that was their last figure. So if we're taking 60% of all, right now what we're taking is 60% of out-of-state waste, 40% from in-state, then we want to make sure that we have some way to increase the tipping fees, as we did with construction and demolition debris and garbage, because we were able to do that. We did it in Ohio. We did it in Mahoning County, where the tipping fees were increased, and that we had the advantage. So that's what we're trying to figure out, how we can do that. The roads are going to be destroyed. You're going to have 100 trucks, and you'll have 100 trucks an hour, according to the one movie that I just saw last night. 100 trucks of water, sand, and chemicals an hour. You're going to have millions of gallons of water trucked in that will be forced down one well. You're going to have an incredible amount of waste that then goes back out. So we're accepting that that's going to happen. But the people in Youngstown, Ohio, are they going to have to pay for the refurbishing of 422 and 224? Are they going to have to take care of fixing up the highways and the bridges? I don't think so. And so I want to make sure that they're making billions. You know, 1 or 2 or 3, maybe 4 people, they're sitting back saying, this is a gold mine. And we want to make sure that we get part of that gold.
So in 2010, the oil and gas companies paid $2.6 million in severance tax. So that's for 33 wells.
They expect to have 1,000 wells done by the end of the year.
Whatever the math is. So maybe 50 million.
Can you multiply that and divide it by 4?
Not to belabor this, but you said you want a piece of the money, you want a piece of the gas, you want a piece of the jobs. Okay, well, obviously Ohioans are going to get some of the jobs, so that's okay. But underpinning this is kind of this idea that in some way all Ohioans own this gas. And I want you to defend that idea Because, I mean, the landowners own the gas. They sell the rights to the gas to the utility or the drillers. How is it that you believe in some way all Ohioans own this natural resource?
Well, first off, it's underneath us. Secondly, it's true that we believe in the property rights and understand that those rights are there. On the other hand, Ohio looked the other way when Chesapeake Oil sold 617,000 acres for $2.3 billion to Total, a gas company in France. We now find out that they sold additional acreage to Japan and to China and to Spain. Think about what your question is, do we own it? Well, no one owns it now. We just gave it to foreign countries. And if that's what we think will protect us for the future, it's utterly ridiculous. That's why we want to make sure that before they ship it south or ship it in containers or whatever way they're going to do it offshore, that we get a piece of the pie. And I don't think we're asking too much. They're going to ruin our roads. They're going to take a chunk of our environment, which we own, all Ohioans own. We own clean water. That's our water. If they contaminate that water, they have to be responsible for that. So they're responsible. That's ours. This is our land. And it's all Ohioans. And we want to make sure that if you're going to buy it, take it, steal it, or whatever you're going to do and ship it to another country, that you're going to pay. And quite frankly, our history has shown we didn't do that in the beginning. Otherwise, we'd have still had Republic Steel and U.S. Steel and some of the other steel companies. We weren't smart enough then. I think we have to be cognizant of what happened. And I'll say this one more time, because I think it's extremely important. For 40 years, I've worked on a railroad. And I drove my train from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, all through Youngstown. And I saw the bright fires of prosperity, and I saw them go out. And they left us a river that was polluted, lungs, including myself, that has emphysema, the people that have been removed from the job picture, a river that has turned brown and contaminated and polluted. They're not going to do this. This industry will not do this again as long as I'm alive and as long as I've got enough fight left in me.
And look, there is private contractual relationships between landowners and Chesapeake Oil and whoever else is buying these leases out. But this is a natural resource under the state of Ohio that to some degree I believe belongs to all of us. And we have a duty as legislators and public officials to recognize that, understand it, and take advantage of it, and tax it to a degree and put some of those resources back into the state for the betterment of the state. So I think it's like water, it's like rivers. It's a natural resource that we have in the state of Ohio. That we have an obligation to regulate, preserve as best as possible, and utilize as best as possible for our benefit.